Okay, now the audio's working. Make sure everything is good. I'm gonna eventually need a better light. So, oh, I didn't even put all the stuff on the right spots. Dang, hold on. Look at me. I'm like, bear with me, all right? It's it's been a day. It's been a week. Just, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. Put in the work and stuff. So, I would have made this yesterday, but I was working yesterday. I just got done working 7 days in a row, but it is what it is. You know. So let me do a couple of things here. Let's see. I meant to change this picture. This was supposed to be a different picture. Oh, jeez. Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, yo. What is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and welcome to this week's installment of Cosmic Convergence. We're going to be covering the 14th to about the 20th, 21st or so. Like I said, ideally I would make these on Tuesday, but I'm just getting off of a 7-day work stretch, of course. So, yeah, things happen because I don't want to do these videos too late. I mean, I could do it at 10 p.m., but I'm trying to take care of my East Coast peeps and not be on too late for you guys. But yeah, let me know. Like, do y'all care if I go live at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m.? Like, I'll do it even if I have to work the next day. That doesn't bother me. But just let me know because I want to just make sure that I take care of you guys here on the East Coast and that you guys aren't up super late watching me. But maybe you want to chill with your boy. So gonna hop in the chat too. Pretty much watching it from my phone to see what all is going on. Got the live chat there too. So anybody that wants to come on and talk to your boy, we can definitely do that. So yeah, this week is Cosmic Convergence. Well, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. I think this will actually be a really good week, y'all. I really do think it'll be a good week. We have all this Taurus energy, of course. Still, the sun will be finishing up in Taurus this week. It'll be the final week with the sun being in Taurus. We're going to see that conjunct Jupiter this week, which is going to be awesome. That's going to apex on Saturday. We also have Uranus and Venus coming together. We also are seeing Mercury entering into Taurus, joining the party. So we got some nice energy. The moon, of course, starts off in Leo. It's going to hit Virgo, of course, and oppose all the Piscean energy. Then, of course, we'll go into Libra. But I do feel like this is going to be a very positive week, even when the moon's in Virgo opposing all of the Neptunian energy. We're going to get some nice sextiles of all of this Taurus energy over to the Pisces energy. And yeah, Mercury is going to square Pluto, but I actually think this is going to be a nice week. It's a week that's definitely going to set us up for the rest of the year. I really do feel that. We are coming into a pretty critical moment. The last week has definitely been an interesting one for the collective. I felt like everyone's attention was on the auroras. I think everyone's attention was on the solar flares and all that energy that was coming through and what we were being blasted with. And I think it's interesting how we've had pretty much multiple times this year where something natural has happened that has pretty much taken the attention and pretty much taken the attention and put it on them. Like, that's put it on nature. Like, that's really what it has done. We had the eclipse, which obviously just garnered all the attention, especially here in America. And then you had these auroras, which came very far south into the States. I think some people in North Georgia were able to see them, but they came very far south. And I felt like my timeline on Facebook was just nothing but auroras and stuff. And to have events like these in relatively quick succession where you have these really cool natural phenomenon happening, things that are rare events too, especially considering the locations. Yeah, while eclipses do happen every single year, it's not every time that you get a total solar eclipse and that you're able to actually view it too. A lot of times they may happen just over the ocean. A lot of times they may happen at the poles and stuff like that, or they may happen in Europe or Africa. So it's not every single day that you get to see these things. So the fact that, at least here in America, that we were able to witness total solar eclipse and we were able to kind of witness, well, the whole world, of course, with all those auroras, but for them to come as far south and as close to the equator as they came, that's rare. So we have to take that into consideration with these energies. We have to take that into consideration as what that does to, the collective. And it just kind of lets you know that we are shifting, we are turning a corner here, and it really does feel like the age of Aquarius is really upon us, like it's here. Some people are saying that we're already in it. I still kind of feel like we're like in like this weird, like precursor, like the kind of the preamble or the, you know, that little spot right before we actually really enter into the age. So it's like a bit of a buffer period. But, and I would say if anything, it will be Pluto coming into, like, it's in Aquarius, but it's going to retrograde back into Capricorn, of course. But I would say Pluto finishing up in Aquarius, I feel like would really be the thing that solidifies that we are in the age of Aquarius, which will be 20 years from now, mind you. So, in my opinion, that's where the age of Aquarius begins. But that doesn't mean that a lot of these themes aren't going to be coming up right now. And, you know, when we think of Aquarius, what do we think about? We think about population. We think about the collective. We think about individuality and rebellion. We think about cosmic knowledge. We think about, you know, it's ruled by Uranus, so it can be random stuff out of nowhere. It's quantum. You know, we think about all these sort of things. Of course, there's also the dark side of Aquarius, right? That's, you know, conformity. Everything's kind of black and gray. You know, there's not really any ingenuity there. It can be robotic. You know, those are sort of like, I guess, the more darker sides of the Aquarius. Cultish stuff can happen there, although cults is Pisces, but cults also, if Pisces is the belief in the cults, the Aquarius is the actual people. So that's the thing about it. So it's an interesting time that we're in, and we can all feel like this major shift that is happening. So that's why, at least for this week, I put the thumbnail as answering the call. You know, I have this character who's, when I was kind of coming up with this image, the image I had in my head was a superhero that was like, you know how like in the Batman or like in like a lot of superhero stuff, there'll be like a symbol that's being beamed into the sky, which is sort of like a call to action, if you will. That's what I kind of thought this week is that we're going into. Especially now that Mercury is here, and Mercury is trying to kind of catch up to all this energy. And Mercury's definitely feeling a lot better. It's out of the shadow. It's out of Aries finally. It's in Taurus. Thoughts become things when Mercury's in Taurus. It's here with Venus and Jupiter, Uranus, and the Sun. And it's not going to meet up with the Sun, but it will meet up with the Sun when it's in its home side of Gemini. So Mercury actually has a lot to look forward to. And I think that we all have a lot to look forward to right now of things that we can manifest and awesome ideas and creativity and, you know, just, you know, the possibilities of what is to come or what can come. You know, I think this will be a very inspiring time. I think this could be a very inspiring week for people. But because it is Taurus, it's still going to feel slow. Now, the Sun moves into Gemini at the end of the week, so that's definitely going to help to speed things up. But it's still going to feel a little bit slow and sluggish. But this is really what I was feeling. I feel like this is a moment where we're having to answer the call. And now, what is that call exactly? And, you know, that's going to be really determined on, you know, you and your journey. But, you know, And an interesting thing with these sort of symbols, right? With the, you know, I really like this image. It's like it has like the eye, beaming down, and it's like the call is coming from God in this one. It's not necessarily someone shooting up a beam somewhere in the city, and superheroes like jumping into action. No, this call is coming straight from source. This is coming straight from God. You know, and I like how it's an eye right here because that speaks to the vision. And Jupiter is very, very involved this week. And Jupiter is all about visionary energy, right? So this is definitely going to be that week where you'll see where it's like there's going to be a lot of inspiration here. There's going to be, people are going to be imbued with vision. We're going to have Mars coming on top of the North Node. So that's going to be a nice thing. And that's going to be happening while the moon's opposing it. So and I'll show you all this, obviously, you guys, in the charts, but it's going to be a very powerful week. I think it'll be a very positive and uplifting week. And it's not without its challenges. I think the biggest challenge of the week is, probably the doubt that you can actually answer this call, or it's sort of like, hey, it's sort of like the universe is calling all us like, hey, I have this amazing project for you. I have this amazing manifestation for you. And you doubting that you're even able to do this. But here's the thing, like whatever visions come this week, whatever inspirations or motivations come this week, you are a vibrational match to that reality. Otherwise, you wouldn't have had that thought or that idea or that vibration. That doesn't mean that it's going to come automatically, but you are a vibrational match to it. That's why it's even there in the first place. So we have to take that into consideration. So, this is going to be a week where you dream big, especially with, the sun that's going to sextile Neptune at the end of at 29 degrees before it goes into Gemini. Dream big. Like, the bigger the dream, the better. And that's really what it comes down to. So we're going to hop into the chart here in a bit. I want to make sure that make sure I get all this correct. I forgot to do all my adjusting as far as this stuff goes. So, let me... Stone deck and roller. Okay, cool. All right, so I have this right here. I kind of simplified the chart, actually. I took out some of the asteroids, the major one, like some of I took out like Juno, I took out Black Moon. I pretty much got everything down to the planets, the nodes, and Chiron, as well as the four royal stars and Regulus, Antares, Fomalhaut, and Aldebaran. So, but I just figured it might make it a little bit easier for you guys. Not only that, but I do want to make a video where I do talk about how to read a chart in the first place. So that's something that will be coming. But let's go back to yesterday, just because in last week's video, I don't even think I covered the 14th. I think I stopped at the 13th because my intention, of course, was to do something for the 14th, and that just didn't happen. Instead, I was working pretty late. But this was the day, of course, where we saw the first quarter square to the sun. Actually, it really happened like much later, a little bit, going into Wednesday, really. So we really just saw the moon traveling throughout that second decan of Leo yesterday. So it did trine Mars earlier in the day. It did trine the North Node earlier in the day. And of course, it would, as you would see here, trine Chiron as well. This was also the last full day of Mercury being in Aries. So that's another thing. I think Tuesday was definitely kind of one of those days where that moon in Leo is definitely looking for some passion. It's definitely looking for some fire. And I think it found it, being that it's making these beautiful aspects over to the Mars, over to the North Node and Chiron. And what this means really here is, you got to think of Aries is like a motor. It's like, it is this spark, is the first sign of the zodiac. It can be impulsive. With that moon in Leo, it's wanting to feel the love. Let's just be honest. Just wanted to feel the love. The trine is opening up a harmonizing aspect to where, you know, it really comes down to, can we really feel that we are embodying like who we are, like our character and who we are, despite some of the woundings and the traumas that we may have with that Chiron and Aries. And when it comes to expressing who we are, can we still, feel the love and feel the fire and feel the passion? You know, Tuesday was an interesting day, especially being Tuesday. It's Mars Day, so we saw the moon trine Mars on this day, and you know, I think while that was all going on, of course, we saw the moon square Venus, and that's kind of an interesting thing. Venus, of course, likes to be in Taurus. It's traditionally ruled in this sign, and this moon in Leo. So I would say, if anything, Venus won this square, if you will, as far as like, if there's like a winner. But I would say this really comes down to like, hey, do you really place value in your heart? Do you really place value in your creativity? Do you really place value in these more Leo like aspects in your life? Do you really place value there? Or are you sort of, maybe outsourcing yourself? Or honestly, are you playing too much into the Chiron? Are you playing too much into maybe a past situation that maybe called your character into question? Are you playing into a past situation that, maybe caused you to adjust, the way that you express yourself because it hurts you? Maybe you've been, this is going to be a dumb example, but maybe you've been rejected one too many times romantically. So you just kind of threw up the towel and gave up. Well, Tuesday could have been a day where, I'm not going to say twin flame, but maybe maybe you met your soulmate that day. It could have happened. But maybe you were so afraid and you were so trapped into the Chiron and not learning the lesson from Chiron. We have to remember that Chiron is a teacher, right? We don't just call it the wounded healer for no reason. It's a teacher, and how we can learn from our scars, and how we can learn from our wounding, how we can learn from, with it being an Aries, that's expression. Who are you? How do you present yourself in many ways? And Taurus is about that too, because Taurus, it's like, Taurus is like the clothes you wear, it's the food you eat, whether or not you take care of your appearance and stuff like that. But, that's the thing about it. I think Tuesday could have been, like I said, and of course I'm doing this after the fact. My Tuesday, I worked. So I didn't really do a whole lot. I pretty much worked like most of the day on Tuesday. So, and it's a day that I usually have off. But like I said, this was also probably, a lot of it has to do with this last day of this Mercury being in Aries. It's ready to get into Taurus. So of course we go to this very moment, we can see that Mercury has shifted into Taurus. So what's Mercury in Taurus? Well, we got to think Mercury is now in the 12th house to its home. So this is the place where Mercury is actually gathering all of his resources. Because when Mercury goes into Gemini, that's when Mercury writes the scoop, right? Mercury writes the scoop in Gemini, and then it edits the scoop in Virgo. That's where Mercury makes all the edits. Gemini is where it's like the first edition. It's the first draft. And then it has to go through Cancer and see how it feels about it. Then it has to go through Leo and ask himself, do I still love this? Am I still passionate about this? And then Virgo comes in and actually edits it. And then once it gets to Libra, that's like the final piece. When Mercury goes into Libra, that's like the final piece. And then Scorpio is when everyone else starts to put their input into it emotionally, because that's the house of shared resources and shit, right? So that's when all that happens. And then it goes into Jupiter, where it probably presents it to the king or whatever like that, or presents it to Zeus and whatever like that. That's just kind of the cycle of Mercury. So while it's in Taurus, it's gathering all of its resources. Everything that it has gone through in the previous, 10 signs, from Cancer all the way through Aries, it's gathering its resources and it's getting ready to write the next big scoop. So that's where Mercury is. That's why it's interesting, because this Mercury in Taurus may feel a little bit slow. The benefit of this Mercury in Taurus is that it does have Venus, Uranus, and the Sun and Jupiter here. So we can't say that the last time it was here, because the last time that it was here, all that energy wasn't there. If we just go back to the last time that Mercury was here in Taurus, right? So you have to go back to, what, March of last year is when, actually no, April, excuse me. Yeah, you got to go back to April last year. So, and you saw that the North Node was there. We saw that Uranus was there. Now, the Sun wasn't there. So that's the other thing too. The Sun wasn't there. Mercury met up with the Sun while it was in Aries. It didn't meet while it was in Taurus. It's not going to meet they're going to meet in Gemini this year too. So that's another thing too. Venus wasn't there either. Unless it was there, it probably was there for maybe briefly. Yeah, it was there briefly. So you saw that, yeah. We just go forward. Yeah, so last year when Mercury entered into Taurus, it met up with the North Node, and Uranus was there, and Venus was there, right? Jupiter wasn't there, and the Sun wasn't there. So the two biggest energies in the zodiac, the Sun, literally the biggest, and then Jupiter, the largest planet, were not in Taurus. You had Venus, which is the minor benefic, right? And you have Uranus, which is way, way out there. So it wasn't the party that it is right now. That's what was kind of interesting about this. So this year, Mercury comes in, and look at the party that's in Taurus. Now, granted, it's like Mercury entered into the house, and there's no one there, right? He's like, where's the party? Where is everyone at? They're several floors up. If you think of Taurus as if you think of it like a hotel, they're several floors up. Now, Mercury's just now getting to the party. He's just now getting into the lobby, right? And the party is on the 20th floor or something like that, right? So Mercury has to go through all this. And here's the thing, Mercury, even though Mercury does move fast, Mercury still got to take the stairs. Mercury can't just shoot up to the 20th level. Not just like that. Now, seemingly, to us, it's going to feel like it's, longer, but really Mercury does move pretty fast. So Mercury probably is kind of in an elevator anyways. But like I said, Mercury, it's planet of communication. It's in Taurus. So communicating your worth and value. That's, if you want to break it down to the base, that's really what it's about. But even more so, we got to consider that the last time that Mercury was in Taurus, the North Node was there, right? So there was definitely even a larger focus from the universe about communicating your worth and your value, right? To be more focused on Taurus things. Whereas the South Node in Scorpio, it was about, letting go of toxic situations, toxic sharing of situations, maybe toxic investments as well. This was more about investing into yourself. But remember, Venus and Uranus was there. So there's an element of relationships as well when Venus came into Taurus last, of what are the right relationships to invest into. This time, Mercury comes into Taurus, and it's already conjuncted Mars. It's already conjuncted Chiron. It's already conjuncted the North Node in Aries. So we're already coming into this Mercury in Taurus with some knowledge on, okay, it's one thing to communicate our worth and our value, but who am I in the first place? Who am I in the first place? That's the main thing with this Mercury. And because it spent so much time in Aries, we had a lot of time to think about, who are we? Who am I? What am I doing here? Especially with the North Node in Aries, right? What am I doing here? It is coming into a zone that has already been covered by Venus and the sun. Right? And obviously Uranus and Jupiter, but Uranus and Jupiter have been here for a while. I'm talking about within like the last 30 days or so, or last 25 days. The space has already been covered by the sun and by Venus. Now Mercury is going to be covering this spot. So this is going to be like a trickle down effect of a lot of just information. Remember, Mercury is information. It's going to be a lot of information that's going to start to come up from these other aspects of our consciousness in Venus and the sun. Venus, of course, being, what are we attracted to? How do we like to receive? What do we find to be beautiful, especially in Taurus, right? And then the sun, vitality, vision, like just creativity in general. Without the sun, none of this would even be here, right? Those are things that we have to consider. And especially Taurus deals with manifestation. And it is the physical earth too. It is fixed earth. It's the most solid of all the signs. That doesn't mean that change doesn't happen here. It's just that a lot of times when it comes to Taurus, people want like that sort of immediate change, if you will. Especially with Jupiter here. They're wanting that immediate change, if you will. But this whole Taurus season, and even with Jupiter being here as long, and Venus and Uranus, this has been about putting one step in front of the other, and it's not about the quick results. It is about the efforts that we put in every single day to build something that's going to last a long time. That's what it's been about. And of course, Mercury wants to move fast. Mercury has like no patience. It's ready to get back to Gemini so it can write. It can write the scoop, right? But there's so much to uncover here in the first 20 degrees. And I don't know exactly what degree it's going to conjunct Venus at, but I don't even know if it conjuncts Venus while it's here. I know Mercury is going to spend maybe like 2, maybe 3 weeks in Taurus. It's going to be really quick. But this was Wednesday when Mercury entered into this spot. And you can see that the moon entered into Virgo as well. Now, I'm pretty sure they moved around the same time. Yeah, they pretty much moved around the same time. So we had a 0-degree trine of the moon on Regulus to Mercury. Now, here's what's interesting about this one. You're not going to get a lot of astrologers talk about this. Regulus, for pretty much everybody that's alive, unless you're like really young, because Regulus just went into Virgo. Regulus has been in Leo for pretty much everyone that's alive right now. Not everyone, but pretty much everybody. And if we just think about Regulus too, let me just fixed star Regulus in astrology. Just kind of read this to you guys too. So Regulus is a fixed star located in the constellation of Leo, but of course it has moved into Virgo, at least here tropically. It is associated with honor, prestige, and leadership, and is said to bring success and power. People who have Regulus prominent in their astrology charts may be born leaders and may have a strong desire for fame and recognition. Regulus is also known as a royal star and may convey royal properties, noble mind, frankness, and courage. Its effect is in the best sense that of Jupiter and Mars. It kind of makes sense if you think about it. Yeah. Regulus. The traditional name Regulus is Latin for prince or little king. It's in the heart of the lion. Right. Just kind of just reading a little bit more. Yeah. Ptolemy said that Regulus was like Mars and Jupiter. Said a lot of people are pretty much giving it more of like that Jupiter quality, which kind of makes sense. And even if you think about it too, just considering where it is, it's in the decan. If we just look at even just the decan that it came from. Where's Regulus? It came from the decan ruled by Mars. And of course, you have Jupiter here too. So it definitely has that kind of feel to it, right? Now, why is this even important? Well, first of all, anything that happens at 0 degrees is like it's a 0 point. So it pretty much just gives like infinite possibilities. The moon in Virgo, it's giving us, whenever the moon goes into Virgo, we tend to get, we're a little bit more emotionally particular about things. People tend to be a little bit more persnickety, a little bit more, wanting things to be in their proper order, in their proper place. But there's a good thing about the moon in Virgo, where it does allow us to kind of clean up, if you will, and to kind of just look at our day-to-day reality and actually feel more into the day-to-day reality emotions. Because that's what Virgo's about. It's also about service. With a trine to Mercury here too, at 0 degrees, this opens up, if you're like open and aware, this opens up a great just line of communication with that more royal, brave, courageous aspect of yourself to live your best life every day. This is Virgo. It's also about your service to other people and humanity, the daily service that you do. And with Mercury and Taurus, that's all about communicating your value. That's why we had that's why this Mercury retrograde in Aries was so important, because if you didn't go through that aspect, if you didn't go through that to try and figure out who you are in the first place, how in the world are you going to be able to communicate this more royal, brave, courageous aspect of yourself with the moon on Regulus? Because like I said, whenever you have planets or things that are conjuncting, they amplify each other. They amplify the energy. So a moon on Regulus is just going to amplify the energy of Regulus. And here's the thing too. If Regulus has like the energy of like Mars and Jupiter, where are those energies? Oh, look, Mars is here at 11 degrees, getting ready to conjunct the North Node. Oh, look, Jupiter is right here, getting ready to go into Gemini. It's here right at the end of Taurus, and it's already sextiling Neptune, and the sun's about to be there. This is like the call, if you will, to step boldly into your heart, to step boldly into that space and to live from that space. It's a really freaking beautiful thing. And if you even look at it further, if you look at the royal stars, it was the last one to move into a mutable sign. We had Aldebaran at 10, Antares at 10, Fomalhaut at 4, Regulus is at 0. In many ways, this was sort of like a last piece. Maybe one of the last pieces that we're missing. And this is an aspect of the consciousness that we're probably not as aware about. But it definitely provides so much of a spark than we probably currently realize. But I think with this transit that we experienced today, with the moon on Regulus and trining over to Mercury, this is definitely a call to arms. Are you going to answer the call? Are you going to step up and really believe in yourself in many ways? Know your worth, know your value, start to really communicate that, and actually feel that you have this royal energy to you. Everyone has Leo in their chart, right? Everyone has Regulus somewhere in their chart, Well, most people have it in Leo, right? Most people have it in Leo, but everyone has it. So it's a part of you, it's a part of all of us, So I think that, like I said, this could have been a very, very, very powerful moment, I was like right at the end of work during this moment, right at because I got off at like 6 o'clock. I was like right at the end of work when I was doing this. So now, of course, the moon comes off of Regulus, and we move into Thursday morning, right? So as the sun's rising, we have that moon here at 6 degrees, and Mercury has almost clicked fully into Taurus. It will click fully into Taurus, around 8:53 a.m. when it hits that 1st degree. And we can see this nice little party that's happening here in Taurus with Venus, Uranus, Sun, and Jupiter. And the Sun is trying to catch up to Jupiter. It's not going to conjunct Jupiter at 27 degrees either. You'd think it would, but it's not. It's going to conjunct actually at 28 degrees. So that's the weird thing about Thursday, is that it feels like the party. This is like us waiting for like the beat to drop. That's Sun on Jupiter. So Thursday, we're having like this build up, feeling like the beat's gonna drop, and it doesn't drop. And then we're gonna feel like, oh, is the beat gonna drop on Friday? No, it's not gonna drop. So Thursday and Friday are a bit of a tease energetically. They're a bit of a tease energetically. Because the beat's not gonna drop until Saturday. So with the moon in Virgo too, it's gonna make some nice trines. It's gonna make some nice trines over all this energy. But it's also going to, of course, oppose Saturn. It's going to oppose Neptune. You know what I'm saying? As you go throughout Thursday, we're going to see, of course, Sun doing its best to catch up to that Jupiter, but it's not going to quite do it. Yeah, Moon's going to make an awkward stare over to Mars, the quincunx. In my opinion, one of the sexier of the aspects, just because, it's this interesting, awkward kind of energy, but honestly, if you can, because you think about it, this is mutable earth and cardinal fire. Like that is very cardinal fire. You're talking about how to like direct your passion and stuff like that, and how to like project it if in many ways. And then mutable earth is like how do you like, manifest and move things around you, and kind of like it's like a moment of alchemy, if you will, right? And here at 12 degrees, 1 plus 2 is 3. So I would say that if anything, this quincunx is going to be about belief. Do you believe that you can show up every day and be your true, unique, raw, authentic self? Do you believe that you can show up every day and do that in your everyday life and feel good about it? Even if, emotions are going to be all over the place sometimes. You're not always going to feel the best. You're not always going to feel like you're on top of the world. You're not always going to feel like 100%. But are you going to be willing to show up every single day and still be your true, raw, and authentic self, That's the awkward part about this. It's awkward, too, because the Mars hasn't even reached the North Node yet, right? That's the weird thing about it. So, we'll see, of course, on Thursday. Continue throughout the day. And the moon isn't quite going to oppose Saturn just yet. It's going to be more of an overnight aspect. And as you can see, the Sun and Jupiter are still traveling together here. And the beat has not dropped yet. We move into Friday, and we wake up with the moon opposing Saturn, 5:53 a.m. So some of y'all will be awake, some of y'all won't be awake. But that's sort of the energy that we're kind of bringing into the day. And those of you who aren't awake, this is probably going to be in the middle of your REM sleep as well. So that'll be kind of interesting, especially with Saturn and Pisces too. Wouldn't be surprised if some of you are like battling things in your dreams or something like that, or some type of conflict may come up in like a dream state or something, or maybe looking even in the mirror of something that maybe you might see as hard or difficult spiritually, but also it's like, they're like just the little challenges in your day-to-day reality, It's like the little hurdles that we can overcome. And I think this also speaks to spiritual responsibility, especially being that it's Saturn in Pisces. And Pisces is in many ways about spirituality, but 1 plus 7 is 8, and 8 in numerology is Saturn. So the fact that they're opposing here, it's like there's a spiritual responsibility that's here. And whether or not we're going to show up fully every single day. Even days where it may not feel like 100%, you still show up for that day. Like sometimes you're 100% on one day may feel like 75% compared to another day. But hey, at least that day you gave it your all. You know what I mean? So that's the thing about this. It's not that you have to match the same level of productivity or the same level of whatever every single day. It's not what this is about. But it's about just showing up honestly and not being afraid of the spiritual work, not being afraid of, you know, having the integrity to do what you say you're going to do, especially now that Mercury's in Taurus too. Thoughts become things more so than ever with Mercury and Taurus, especially, with all this other energy here. It's about manifestation, so it's like you say you're going to do something, you better do it. Because if you don't do it, then people are really going to start to question your integrity. They're going to start to question whether or not you truly value whatever it is that you say you're going to do. Those things are going to come up. So that's really going to be important here on this Friday. Why does my phone keep going off? I thought I turned my thing down. I really thought I turned my thing down. That's like, bam. Okay. Sorry about that. But we will see, of course, this moon begin to make these beautiful trines over to all this Taurus energy, right? So we're going to see the moon is going to trine Venus. It's going to, and there's no mutual reception with this one because Venus does not want to be in Virgo, right? But we'll see the moon trine Uranus, right? And then we'll see the moon, coming towards the very tail end of the day, going into Saturday, trine the sun. And we can see here Jupiter at 28:10, the sun at 27:45. So, like I said, Friday is kind of a day, which is a bit of a tease as well. But we have like this beautiful trining energy with this moon in Virgo, wanting us to see the value in the day-to-day service, the day-to-day work, the steps that we take every single day. With Venus, the relationships that we build on a day-to-day basis, and the relationship that we build with ourselves too. That's important. The trine over to Uranus, which of course at this point Venus and Uranus would be getting their conjunction at 23 degrees. Uranus connectivity. This also can speak to some random things maybe coming up, of course, because whenever you have Uranus, it always deals with the unexpected, if you will. So these could be emotions that may come out of nowhere, or different things that happen in our day that may seemingly come out of nowhere. But I think these will be pleasant surprises too. I don't think these will be bad surprises. I think they'll be pleasant surprises. Now, what's interesting about this, of course, is that you can see that as we go into Saturday, that moon is going to oppose Neptune at 29 degrees. So normally, after the moon makes its final aspect to a planet, it goes what's called void of course, which means that it's not going to make another aspect to another planet or an asteroid until it comes into the next sign. Because we have Neptune at 29 degrees, this moon's not going to get a chance to go void of course. So it's always making some kind of aspect something. So we don't really get a break. We don't get a rest. So once again, you can see that just like Thursday going into Friday morning, Friday going into Saturday morning, we have the moon opposing the Piscean energy. And we kind of wake up with this energy. So first it was Saturn, which is speaking to like spiritual responsibilities in many ways. And we have Neptune, which can be about, in many ways, the illusion. Maybe the illusion that we can even set our day-to-day reality up in this amazing way that we're starting to channel now that Mercury is making its way through Taurus, and it already did square Pluto. In fact, it squared Pluto the day before. So that's one thing I did miss on Friday, is that we are going to see that square to Pluto. Right? Now, Pluto is the only planet that's retrograde at the moment. I think that, this is an aspect that I think this aspect will be probably more outshined by the fact that the moon is going to be trining all of the Taurus energy, so I think that's something that's probably going to feel a little bit more. If anything, I feel like this moon square Pluto, and with Pluto especially being retrograde, it's just going to remind us, of, what kind of people are we surrounding ourselves with, and do they actually hold the same values as us? It's going to be the main thing here. You know, who are we surrounding ourselves with? Who's in our direct peripheral, day-to-day reality, especially with that, that's what Mercury is. It rules the periphery, you know, and it's all about communication. Of course, Pluto here in Aquarius retrograde, it is, you know, I wouldn't be surprised. This is an interesting day or Friday. Like, I, it can make for some interesting conversations for sure. It may make for some. It could make for some volatility. Especially with that 2 degrees, it's going to be very emotional. So it's like, you know, if you don't see eye to eye with people, especially like with Aquarius, this is dealing with larger groups of people, maybe even organizations, especially since Pluto's going back into Capricorn, right? So this can definitely deal with some energies around work, jobs, career, just different people, whether or not you're seeing eye to eye with, managers or bosses, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, because this is at 2 degrees, it's going to make it a pretty sensitive square, if you will. Now, the moon in Virgo trining all the Taurus energy is going to be giving us this opportunity to see, like, well, we can heal these situations. And maybe, there's another perspective, or maybe there is another opportunity elsewhere that we haven't considered, or that may come up, especially considering the fact that the moon will be trining the ruler of Aquarius, Uranus, on this day. So it's like, I felt like even if there is a difficult conversation that comes up around value and groups of people and career and stuff like that, there is already a solution in place. It's just whether or not we have the courage to actually take that solution. But there's like already a solution in place. Or it's going to be something that you just didn't expect. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of the cool thing about that. But going into Saturday, of course, this is the day where the beat finally drops. Because we're going to see, bam, that moon is going to come into Libra. And as soon as it comes into Libra, you can see that Venus and Uranus are exact conjunct. And we have the Sun and Jupiter conjunct, 23 and 28 respectively. And we almost have Mars and the North Node conjunct. This is the moment when the beat drops. This is a beautiful moment and a beautiful day. It really is. Because remember, anytime that you have planets that are conjuncting, they amplify each other's energy. And Jupiter is already a planet that amplifies and grows things. And then you have the Sun, which does a similar thing. The Sun is actually growing. Like, the Sun's actually growing. So we don't think about that, but the Sun's actually growing. One day, it will engulf Mercury. One day, it will engulf Venus. I don't think it'll quite get to the Earth. I don't think it'll get that big. But the Sun is growing. Jupiter is growing. And the fact that they're meeting up and amplifying each other's energy in Taurus, which is all about physical manifestation and your worth and your value and money and all these sort of things. It's a beautiful, like, I don't know how else to put it. It's a beautiful thing here. It really is. Venus and Uranus, same deal pretty much, right? They're amplifying each other's energy. This can be a moment where we can build some amazing relationships that will last a lifetime. Like, really, like, for real. Especially with this moon in Libra too. Now, yes, it's with the South Node. So we have to be careful that we are not being either like too complacent, or we are outsourcing who we really are to fit in with the crowd. We got to be careful about that sort of stuff. But this is a really awesome moment Saturday that we have. And we don't really get this kind of energy that often. And it's an energy that we need. And the cool thing about this too is that this is going to set the tone for like the next month and a half, if you will, until the next planet that comes retrograde, which will be Saturn. So we still have some time before another planet retrogrades. So this is a moment where it's like, I'm saying, like, that's why I made it answering the call. That's why I did it like this. Are you going to answer the call? Are you going to step into your heart? Are you going to step in and know your worth and know your value? Know what you bring to the table. And know that this is a big fucking deal. Especially considering the fact that they are in sextile to Neptune. So there's a great, I call sextiles opportunity. So there's a great opportunity. You know, remember, Pisces rules dreams. This is dream big. The bigger, the better. Dream big, dream huge. The bigger, the better. We're going to see the sun move past Jupiter as the moon continues throughout Libra that day, on Saturday. And then on Sunday, it's going to be kind of interesting here. We're going to see, of course, the Mars and the North Node begin to meet up. And then we have the moon that's going to join in on this. With the sun at the last degree of Taurus, officially making the sextile over to Neptune. And Venus has now moved past Uranus and is getting ready to conjunct Jupiter. Sunday provides a bit of a challenge because I think Saturday will be such an inspiring and beautiful day that when we get to Sunday and the moon is on the south node, remember these nodes are, these nodes are the moon's nodes. And we have Mars on the other side. This kind of simulates an eclipse. Now, it's not an eclipse, obviously. It's not an eclipse, obviously. But because they are so close and they're right on top of these points, if the sun was where Mars was, that would be a total solar eclipse. Right? That's what a total solar eclipse would be. But it's not. It's Mars. So it's not an eclipse, but it kind of simulates eclipse energy here. Right? So this is one of those moments where I feel like we can communicate our big dreams to somebody, and this is the moment where people tell us that we're fucking crazy, or you can't do it, or you need to be realistic or something like that. And, are you going to still continue and, have that dream and start to move towards it? Because that's the other thing about this. Mars is about action, It's about action. It's not just feeling it with this moon in Libra. It's about taking some action here. The North Node, it's all about destiny, right? Right now, the universe is wanting us to focus on who are you? Express yourself. Put yourself out there, Aries. It's pretty simple with an Aries North Node, So that's the thing about be a leader. Be the leader in your own life. Aries, they want to be the leader. March forward. Don't just sit there and wait for something to happen. Actually get up and do it. I think the moon in Libra is going to be like, well, it's... Especially with the South Node, it's going to be like, yeah, well, I always hang out with this group of people, and I always end up attracting this kind of person in my life, and, I always do this sort of thing, and, that sounds cool, I was feeling great the day before, and I was super inspired and motivated to do this sort of stuff, but I don't know if I can actually do it. Better do it. Because this simulates what like a full moon lunar eclipse would feel like. That's what it kind of simulates. It's not, obviously, because the sun's not involved, but it kind of simulates that energy. And that's Sunday, right? So I think it provides a very interesting challenge. And if we're looking at the degrees, 1 plus 4 is 5. 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 is Mercury. Mercury is also at 5 degrees of Taurus. So we have a harmony of energy of 5, and we have Uranus at 2 plus 3 equals 5. So there's a harmony of 5 energy. And so communication. What are you telling yourself? What are your thought patterns? And that's the thing. That's why I said, you may talk about your dreams to somebody on Sunday, and they may laugh in your face because maybe it's too fucking big, That's the danger. That's kind of the danger part of the Uranus here. It's like, you know, you might want to be careful about who you talk to, I guess, or tell your dreams to. But also, like, if they reject it or say that you can't do it, you know, don't let that dictate you not going for it. Don't let that dictate it. Because the sun is still in sextile to Neptune. There's still an opportunity to manifest the greatest thing, the greatest dreams, the biggest goals of your life right now. It's not going to happen immediately. And I think that's the frustration with the South Node in Libra is that, and even the North Node in Aries with Mars there, is that there's a frustration and there's like an impatience and wanting things to happen immediately. But it's not going to happen immediately. It's something that we have to build. But you get the vision this weekend that it could be something freaking amazing. You know? And you're not going to have all the details either. I think that's the other thing too. Maybe the frustration is that you don't have all the details. So maybe it's not so much that someone is doubting you. It's just maybe it's like, well, I don't have all the details. I don't know how this is all going to turn out. Well, no shit. Mercury still has to cover this whole space. It still has to catch up to the sun. So no shit. You're not going to know, you're not going to have all the details and know everything just right yet. That's okay. Take a step, move forward. That is what's most important here. That is the most important thing here. So we'll see the moon come off that opposition. And then going into Monday, of course, we're going to see the moon is going to oppose Chiron. Of course, most people are going to be asleep. So no one's really going to really feel that energy too much unless you're like on the West Coast, I guess. Or if, you know, like Europe, I guess, would be like the early daytime for you guys. But then, of course, we'll see on Monday that sun is going to come into Gemini. And this is going to bring some fresh energy, obviously, right? It's Gemini season. Happy birthday to all the Geminis. It's going to get fun. It's going to get exciting. It's going to get... we may see the rap battles come back. But, so we immediately, when the sun comes into Gemini, we get like this nice, fresh breeze, if you will. This is mutable air. So it's going to be like the wind kind of shifts a bit on Monday. You're going to feel it when you wake up. The wind's going to kind of shift a bit. And it's going to be a little bit lighter. It's going to be a little bit airier, right? And maybe we feel like we can flow a little bit better in this time. What's interesting though about Monday is that even though that is happening, now we do have some interesting aspects here. If I just go and look at it, we have the moon, which is going to be in quincunx to Venus, and this actually is some mutual reception here, because while Venus does rule Taurus, right, it also rules Libra, and the moon exalts in Taurus. So there's a nice little moment here, even though it may feel a little bit awkward. It's like, you know what? This is an area where we may be able to find some balance and some compromise here and be like, you know, because this is Libra about balance and compromising, and Taurus is all about the value too. So it's like, this could be a moment where it's like, yeah, maybe you don't necessarily see fully eye to eye with maybe like a person or a situation, but there could be some compromise here. There could be some give and take. There can actually be a solution here. You know, that's kind of the awesome thing about this, is that even though it may feel awkward, there may be an awesome solution that still pops up on this day, Monday. But of course, while we get this nice fresh breeze and we kind of wake up into Monday feeling like, you know, a little bit more rejuvenated as far as that stuff goes, even though we just had this big party in Taurus, this massive rager of a party in Taurus, freaking amazing, like Jupiter's the DJ, right? You know, Mercury showed up late, you know, to the party. But then the moon comes into Scorpio. And the emotions immediately get heavy. And I think it's just because of just the weekend, all the information that's coming through, the major conjunctions in Taurus, the major visions that are coming through with all this, and answering the call. And then the moon comes into Scorpio and we feel heavy. We feel like, oh, fuck. This is actually a big deal. Can I actually do this? The good thing is that the sun is in Gemini, so we could still, it still brings about that light energy, if you will. They quincunx each other too at 0 degrees. So once again, we have the moon making a big aspect at 0 degrees. It did it at 0 degrees of Virgo over to Mercury while the moon was on Regulus. And then the moon is going to do it in Scorpio, making the aspect over to the sun. I've been doing this for a while. Even just looking at charts even before doing like a weekly video or even daily videos. I can't remember a week where I saw the moon at 0 degrees making aspects of something like twice in like the same week. I can't tell you the last time I saw that. So that in of itself, I feel like is rare. I feel like this whole week is rare. Like things that just are happening that just don't usually happen, right? So I think the awkward part of this is that even if the emotions sometimes feel heavy in Scorpio, and maybe that we even want to kind of maybe even retreat a little bit into the shadows or our closet or whatever like that we may want to retreat a little bit. The interesting thing about this is that now the sun is in the 8th house to the moon, right? So there's this interesting, almost subconscious understanding between the moon and sun here. The sun kind of gets where the moon is coming from and can provide a bit of a light energy. I think that's the thing on Monday is that we're going to have to learn how to laugh through it, because it's like we're going to feel this nice, cheery, uplifting energy. It's going to be a little bit lighter, brighter. We're going to have, like I said, a new breeze, and then it feels like it's going to rain. It's like the sun comes out, it's light and breezy, and then it rains with the moon going into Scorpio. And we're going to have to learn how to laugh. We're going to have to learn how to find the fun in this. We're going to have to learn how to be able to make light of situations and stuff like that. Not sweep them under the rug, but to make light of it and to see the humor in things. That's going to be the main, I would say, hurdle and challenge of Monday, is being able to see the humor in life and see how beautiful it is and all of its nuances. That's going to be the main thing with Monday, I would say. But we'll see. Like I said, that sun's going to come into Gemini. And moon, of course, now that's in Scorpio, it's going to, of course, on Tuesday, which, we'll talk a little bit about Tuesday, of course, on next Tuesday. And I should actually be able to make my video on Tuesday. But the moon is going to, of course, oppose Mercury on Tuesday. And, by this point, of course, the sun is going to click fully into Gemini, and it will be Gemini season. But we'll talk more about that moon opposed Mercury on Tuesday. Although it is in the morning, but it's a fast aspect. It's a fast aspect because usually when the moon makes aspects, it's very fast. You don't necessarily feel the energy that long unless there's something major that's happening with it. So I say with this one, this moon in Scorpio, like I said, it can make the emotions feel a little bit heavier, a little bit, kind of feeling more into like the shadows, if you will, feeling a little bit deeper. And this Mercury and Scorpio opposing it. This Mercury and Taurus opposing it. It's like being at 8 degrees. It's like, yeah, this is, like I said, whenever I think of 8, I think of responsibility. I also think of the infinity symbol. So I think this is sort of like reminding us that no matter what happens and how we feel and stuff, that we can always rise from the ashes, but we have to be able to tell ourselves that. We have to be able to encourage ourselves. I think the moon opposed Mercury, it's all about encouraging ourselves to, be able to rise from the ashes of any situation. Emotions are going to come and go, and how we can use these moments to manifest in our life. I think that's really what this moon opposed Mercury is going to be about. So, but like I said, I think it's going to be a very positive, powerful week. I think, like I said, we're building up to the beat dropping on Saturday, and that's going to be a poppin' day. I really do feel that. I think it'll be very powerful. I think it'll be very inspiring. I think it can be very, very motivating. If you really tap in and harness that energy, probably a great day to go out into nature too, to maybe do some grounding, because this is Taurus too. But this is about, embracing the biggest dreams of your life. and realizing that it's possible. It's a sextile over to Neptune. It's possible. Don't fall for the illusion that it's not possible. Live from your heart space. Like I said, the moon hits Regulus and trines Mercury at 0 degrees, right? Anything is possible. Anything is possible. Just remind yourself of that. Anything is possible, but it's like, are you going to take the necessary steps? And I'm telling you guys this, but I'm telling myself as well. It's like, I know that there are things that I could do more and do better, if you will. I know I have big dreams and stuff like that I've been procrastinating on too. This is going to be a week that will, like, if you get through this week and you don't do anything towards it, like, I don't know what to tell you. Especially once Jupiter comes in Gemini too. Like, it's because Jupiter, remember, it falls in Gemini, right? And like I said, we're about to start to see planets are eventually going to start retrograding. So like you said, like I said, you have until, let's see. Keep going, keep going, keep going. I want to say it's Saturn that's retrograding next. I want to say it's retrograding, like the moon's going to cross over Saturn one more time. And then, yeah, see? Yeah. Saturn is going to retrograde at the end of the month. At the end of June. So we have a month and a half. We have a month and a half. And you're going to start to see this energy spread out too. All that stuff that was just, like everything that was in Taurus, Aries, and Pisces, and with Pluto just hanging out here in Aquarius, it's about to start to spread out a little bit. The energy is about to spread out. It was so condensed in these 3 signs, plus Pluto and Aquarius. It was so condensed that now it's starting to spread out a little bit. The bread is starting to rise, if you will. It's not as condensed. It's like when you put cookies in the oven and it's starting to spread out, right? So that's really what this is. So this is a time where we can expand. This is a time where we can, expand our vision, expand our minds, if you will, and really start to see what is possible. But if we don't take advantage of these moments, once these retrogrades start happening at the end of June, it's going to get more difficult. Because then we're preparing for the second half of the year, which is going to be crazy. So definitely take advantage of this time. Definitely take advantage of this time. I'm going to draw cards. I'm going to draw some cards for everybody. And I definitely, so I can use this time to kind of just go over some of my intentions and stuff that I've been kind of working on in the background. I am thinking about putting like a membership thing on my website, because I do want to bring back the daily video, but I also feel like it is something that should just go on my website. And that's just because that's just something that, I know I bring a lot of value when I do those. And I'm also just trying to figure out what kind of content I can bring that would be worthy of a subscription, like a $5 or a $10 subscription, so that would be like daily videos, that can be different classes that I bring, that could be written horoscopes weekly for the 12 signs, that could be other different things. And, I'll still continue to put things out here on YouTube, obviously, but, I do feel like there's a lot of value that I bring, and I want to make sure that, I'm gonna go into my North Node in Capricorn, the second house, guys. Like, I'm just, I'm just being honest, like, it's time for me to really step more into my North Node in the second, and especially with Capricorn. So that's like building myself up, building like a business, and actually like, to be frank, putting a price tag on it. You know what I mean? So been doing the South Node of Cancer 8th house thing for a while, and I think I did that because I felt like I really had to do that. But, it's just, I'm wanting to step more and more and more into my purpose. You know what I mean? So Now, I don't know when exactly all that's going to happen. I'm messing around with a couple different things, like astrology APIs and everything like that. So that'll be pretty cool. But also, it's going to come down to me managing my time better, because the fact of the matter is that I do have a full-time job, but I also have this, and I really do care about this. I also have writing projects that I really, really want to do. So for me, it's going to be all about managing my time better and not being afraid of the hard work and like balancing all of this, because I know I can. It's just figuring out the way to do it. So probably playing less video games. It's probably going to be the main way to do it. But I'm going to work on it. I'm going to figure that stuff out. But just still continuing to deliver, the best I can with these cosmic convergences. And I actually really like this series, doing the weekly like this. I really like doing this. But as far as like a daily video and then other kinds of videos, like if I talk about different aspects and stuff, or maybe I'll do like a Patreon. I don't know. I thought about that as well. So, but yeah, let me know. But yeah, I'm working on like the website. Actually, the website I've kind of revamped in a way too. So, kind of took some things out that were kind of just collecting dust, and I'm gonna be adding some other things in too. So, yeah. We shall see. We shall see. I have some pretty cool things that I've been kind of working on, but I just haven't, not ready to reveal everything just yet. But I have some pretty cool things that I've been working on. So, yeah, I have the Ace of Wands. I have the Ace of Wands in reverse. Yeah, so, and I have that followed by the Eight of Swords. Yeah, this is a shoot like. Are you going to remain paralyzed? Are you going to remain having this blindfold on when you really could just take the blindfold off and just start actually walking? This is like you being stuck in the mud and you feeling like you have no power with the Ace of Wands in reverse, right? But it's only because you still feel like you're trapped by a situation. You still feel like you're locked in. You're not as locked in as you think, by a situation that may seem a little hopeless or whatever. Yeah, we have the Judgment card in reverse. This is, as I'm saying, like answering the call. Like Judgment card, this is the card of answering the call. The fact that it's reverse with the Ace of Wands that's also reverse. It's like if you answer the call, you will have the power. And you won't have to worry about the Eight of Swords, because if you answer the call, you will have the power. It's pretty simple, I'll draw another card, too, just for a little bit of clarity. I have the Two of Swords in reverse. This is about breaking the stalemate. It's time for you to break the stalemate with yourself and to actually move forward and move into your destiny. That's the really big thing about that. I love it. Let's go ahead and draw a color card for everybody as well to see what we have going on for that, too. The color card, I have the card of turquoise. Awaken your empathy. That's an interesting color too. I actually really like it. I don't really draw this card. Awaken your empathy. So yeah, I think this is a moment where it's like, what is true empathy? I think that's going to be kind of like a question. Because I think now, there's obviously a lot of empaths out here, but we got to ask ourselves, what is true empathy? Is empathy, not maintaining our emotional boundaries just to make someone else feel better because we feel bad for them? Or is true empathy maintaining our emotional boundaries, and even if it upsets somebody, you moving in that way is the true empathy because you allow them the space to be able to better process their emotions, what they're going through, without you being their crutch. I need to say that again because I was trying to collect my thoughts. Is true empathy lowering your emotional boundaries so someone could come in and plague your energy, or is true empathy maintaining your emotional boundaries and your sovereignty, still being there for people, and even if you upset them, you maintaining those boundaries is what actually allows them the space to properly address their emotions, their thoughts, their situations, and not use you as a fucking crutch. That's going to do it for this cosmic convergence for this week. I trust that this message will assist you on your journey this week. I love you all so much. Y'all take care. Stay blessed. Have a wonderful week, beloved. Peace out.